we begin this hour with the Supreme Court arguments in a case that could change access to abortion in some states. Demonstrators on both sides turned out yesterday as the court heard the Biden administration's challenge to Idaho's near-total ban on abortion. The Justice Department claims Idaho has violated federal law that requires hospitals to provide emergency medical treatment that may include abortions. The state argues that the federal law doesn't specifically mention abortion, so it shouldn't apply. Now, Jan Crawford covers the Supreme Court for us. Jan, good morning to you.
Well, good morning. I mean, really, the justices were sharply divided in this case yesterday, and emotions ran high. The three liberal justices, all women, they sounded almost at times outraged by the idea that Idaho was having to helicopter pregnant women with health-threatening conditions out of state to get abortions, suggesting clearly that they thought that federal law should override the Idaho ban, which prohibits abortions except to save a woman's life. Now, the conservative justices who are in the majority, they were harder to read. I thought several were skeptical that this law, which passed in 1986, signed by President Reagan into law, that it was intended to apply in these kind of situations. But, you know, some of these cases, we can really predict what they're going to do after the arguments based on their questions. This was not one of those cases that you could do that with any certainty. So I think we're going to have to wait until this decision comes down, probably by the end of June, early July, to see exactly what the court's going to do here, Natalie.
And then, you know, looking ahead to June or July when we do have that ruling, how widespread could that fallout then be from the ruling, Jan?
Oh, significant. I mean, if the Biden administration wins this case and that federal law does take precedent over these near-total bans in the states, that's going to affect at least bans similar to Idaho's in 6 other states, as well as another 15 or so states that have pretty restrictive laws on abortion. But that's what the Biden administration was hoping for. That's why they sued Idaho after the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. They're trying to find some way to at least guarantee some kind of baseline right to abortion, Natalie.
Well, this is the second time, Jan, in less than a month that the court has heard an abortion case after a case about the abortion drug mifepristone back in March. Is the court then bound to keep, being in the middle of this battle going forward about overturning Roe v. Wade?
Well, that's when they overturned Roe versus Wade. They said, we're sending this issue back to the states. We're taking it out of the courts and giving it to the elected representatives to decide this issue. But as you say, this is not so easy to get away from the issue of abortion. Now, none of these cases are about the underlying right to abortion, which the Supreme Court said that was up to the states. They're procedural. So in the mifepristone case, the question there is, did the FDA follow the right steps when it approved that pill used for most of the abortions in this country? In our case yesterday, that one's procedural, whether or not the federal law preempts a state law. So opponents and supporters are looking for these kind of creative legal ways to keep the issue of abortion in the courts, Natalie.
All right, Jan Crawford outside the Supreme Court for us. Thank you.